Don't worry. I'm still alive. Please wait for me.
What if the person you love, the one you thought was lost forever, suddenly came back to life through a stranger's call? In this emotional story, Tieu knew, after endless days of despair and searching through storm-torn streets, received news that Truong might still be alive. Her tears of grief turn into tears of hope as she rebuilds her life, waiting for the day they reunite. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more touching love stories like this, where faith, resilience, and love conquer even the darkest nights. For days, Tieu had wandered through the rain-soaked streets, her hands trembling as she taped each missing person flyer onto the cold, uneven walls. Every corner of the town seemed to echo with her silent prayers, prayers that someone, anyone, would have seen him. The ink on some of the posters had already blurred, the paper wrinkled by the wind and dampness, but she refused to take them down. Just one more, she would whisper to herself each morning, her voice breaking slightly as she smoothed another paper against a lamppost. Truong's face, that familiar, gentle smile frozen in a photograph, stared back at her, haunting and hopeful all at once. The days blurred together in gray monotony, broken only by the hollow sound of the rain tapping against her roof at night. Each ring of her phone made her heart race, but it was always someone else, a neighbor offering sympathy, a volunteer from the rescue team with no new leads. The weight of uncertainty was unbearable. There were moments she thought she'd collapse right there in the street, her hope draining away with each passing day. Then, one late afternoon, as the sky dimmed to a soft amber and the wind carried the faint scent of wet earth, her phone rang again. She almost didn't pick up, too tired to endure another disappointment. But something inside her, a whisper of instinct, told her to answer. The voice on the other end was unfamiliar, hesitant, almost trembling. "Are you the one looking for a man named Truong?" Her heart skipped. Yes, that's me. Have you seen him? Please, tell me." There was a pause, the sound of crackling static. Then the stranger spoke again. "I think I saw him this morning near the old market. He looked tired, like he'd been through a lot, but he was alive, miss. I'm sure of it." Alive. That one word hit her like lightning. She clutched the phone to her chest, her breath catching in her throat. For a long moment, she couldn't speak. Tears welled in her eyes and spilled down her cheeks before she even realized she was crying. The world around her seemed to blur, the sounds of the evening market, the distant barking of dogs, even the wind, all faded until only that single word echoed in her mind. Alive. She fell to her knees, laughing and crying at once. The neighbors who saw her must have thought she'd lost her mind, but she didn't care. The dark cloud that had hung over her heart for weeks had finally cracked open, letting in a fragile beam of hope. "Thank you," she whispered into the phone, her voice trembling. "Thank you so much." As the call ended, Tieu wiped her tears, her heart beating wildly. Somewhere out there in the vast chaos left by the flood, Truong was still breathing, still walking under the same fading sky. And that was all she needed, a single spark of life to ignite her will to keep searching. Her trembling fingers clung to the phone long after the call ended, as if afraid that letting go might somehow make the fragile miracle disappear. Tieu sat there on the damp ground, her chest rising and falling in uneven breaths. The air around her was heavy with the scent of rain and soil, yet for the first time in weeks, she could feel her heart beating with warmth instead of emptiness. She wanted to scream his name into the evening sky, "Truong!" but the words caught in her throat, choked by emotion. She had imagined this moment 1,000 times in her sleepless nights, yet now that it was real, it felt almost unreal, too precious, too sudden, like a dream she was afraid to wake from. Her tears kept falling, mixing with the dust on her cheeks. She pressed the phone against her forehead, whispering through sobs, "You're alive! You're really alive!" The words trembled on her lips, fragile but filled with relief so intense it hurt. The stranger's voice still echoed in her ears, replaying over and over. He looked tired, but he was alive. That simple sentence rewrote her world. The images she had forced herself to forget, his smile, his gentle eyes, the way his hand fit perfectly around hers, all rushed back with painful clarity. She could almost see him walking down that muddy road near the market, his shirt damp, his eyes searching, as if he too was looking for her. Her heart clenched at the thought. Had he seen the posters she had put up? Did he know she was still waiting? The questions spun endlessly in her mind, but beneath them all, one truth glowed like fire. He was still out there. Somewhere under the same sunset, Truong was alive. That was enough to make her believe again. Tieu rose to her feet, her knees weak but her spirit blazing. The orange light of dusk stretched across the rooftops, glinting off the puddles at her feet. Every sound, the chirping of cicadas, the laughter of children in the distance, even the faint honk of a motorbike, felt sharper, more alive than before. The world had not changed, but her heart had. Hope had returned, quiet yet powerful, like a seed breaking through the soil after the rain. She hurried back to her small house, her steps light despite the mud clinging to her sandals. Inside, she sat by the flickering lamp and stared at the map pinned to the wall. Her trembling fingers traced the roads leading toward the old market. Somewhere along that path he had walked. Somewhere close, maybe just a few miles away, the man she thought she'd lost forever was breathing the same night air. A quiet smile curved on her lips through the tears. "Just hold on, Truong. I'll find you." And for the first time since the flood had torn their lives apart, Tieu felt the warmth of faith return, fragile, glowing, and unstoppable. That night, Tieu couldn't sleep. The rain had stopped, leaving behind a hush that settled over the small village like a fragile promise. The moon hung low, its pale light spilling across the floorboards where she sat, her back against the wall, eyes open wide. Every time she closed them, she saw him, Truong, walking through the flooded streets, his clothes damp, his face weary but alive. The thought was both torture and comfort, a thread of hope she held tightly to, afraid it might slip away if she dared to rest. The world outside was slowly healing after the storm. Water still pooled in the fields, glistening like broken glass under the moonlight. Somewhere far off, she could hear the croaking of frogs, the sound of life returning, and with each breath, she told herself, "He's alive, he's out there, I'll see him again." Those words became her prayer, her heartbeat, her reason to keep going. She rose before dawn, the air still cool and damp. The sky was streaked with faint silver, the first hint of morning light. With renewed determination, Tieu stepped into the yard, the ground still soft beneath her bare feet. She began to clean, sweeping the fallen leaves, straightening the wooden fence, and fixing the small lanterns that had blown loose in the storm. Every movement was purposeful, filled with quiet strength. She wanted her home to be ready, warm and welcoming for when he returned. As she worked, she imagined the moment they would hear each other's voices again. The phone would ring, and this time it will be him. She could almost hear his deep, gentle tone saying her name. "Nu, are you safe?" The thought was both torture and comfort, a thread of hope she held tightly to, afraid it might slip away if she dared to rest. When she finished, she stood in front of the small window and looked out toward the distant road. The mist was lifting now, the world slowly brightening. Somewhere beyond those hills, perhaps Truong was looking at the same dawn, thinking of her too. The idea made her smile. For the first time in weeks, her heart beat not with fear, but with anticipation. She made a pot of tea, the aroma of jasmine filling the quiet air, and sat by the table. On it lay a photograph of them, taken on a sunny afternoon long before the flood, both laughing, both unaware of the storms that life would bring. She touched his face in the picture, whispering softly, "I'll keep waiting. I'll keep believing." And as the first rays of sunlight poured through the window, painting her face in gold, Li Tianning felt something shift inside her. Hope no longer felt fragile. It had become her strength. Somewhere out there, Truong was alive, and until the day they found each other again, she would keep living, keep working, keep loving the world for both of them.
Hello, xin chào tất cả các khán giả của kênh Lý Tử Ninja Review. Vậy là trong tập phim của chúng ta ngày hôm nay thì Lý tiểu nữ đã nhận được thông tin chính xác, đó chính là Trường, người yêu của cô vẫn còn sống. Đã có người nhìn thấy anh cách đây chỉ có vài phút và đã gọi điện cho cô theo thông tin tờ rơi mà cô dán trên tường. Điều đó khiến cho cô cảm thấy vui mừng khôn xiết và có động lực làm việc trở lại để chờ qua cơn bão lũ ổn định lại cuộc sống. Thì Trường và sẽ liên lạc về với cô. Mọi tình tiết về câu chuyện sẽ còn rất là nhiều yếu tố hấp dẫn sẽ được kể ở các câu chuyện tiếp theo. Các bạn nếu thấy video hay hấp dẫn, hãy bấm nút like, chia sẻ và để lại bình luận ở dưới video nhé. Cảm ơn các bạn rất nhiều. Xin chào và hẹn gặp lại vào tập sau. Bye bye.